matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? I was... Look again.
I was just sitting here thinking about who's the most powerful superhero out. And you know who that is? Women. You hear me, baby? Like, women can have humans. Who else can do that? Like, they can have full-fledged human beings. Like, that. Just think that's your superpowers. I'm gonna have humans. You can just keep making them. Like, that's crazy. Yeah.
Why is it that the people who pray the most have the most of their children in the jails of this country?
Teach on it, brother. Teach it.
Yeah.
Teach it.
That's, we need to ask those kind of questions.
Teach that truth, brother.
How is it that the people who don't see color to treat all people alike, who don't get into racism, the most of their children are in jail? And the other ones who see color, the other ones who deal exclusively with their ethnicity, their children are outside and their children are being fed and so forth. Is the reward then for not seeing color, for being non-racist, for not talking hate language, going to jail? Well, you better start talking hate language then. You know?
Hello, I'm Dr. Stacey Patton, author of Spare the Kids, Why Whooping Children Won't Save Black America. I'm also the creator of SpareTheKids.com, an online portal that's designed to help parents and caretakers explore options to discipline that don't involve hitting or other aggressive tactics that can place a child at risk for negative outcomes. There's been 50 years worth of scientific research by experts in child development that has shown that there is no evidence that hitting children to any extent and regardless of race or ethnic background is beneficial for them or our society. There has been ample evidence demonstrating the long-term damage resulting from all levels of physical punishment, even when the hitting does not leave marks or other serious physical injuries. As a child grows, certain parts of the brain are particularly vulnerable to stress. Threatening or hitting a child sets off biochemical responses that can change the architecture of a child's brain and lay the groundwork for a low IQ, a quick temper, aggressiveness, hypervigilance, dishonesty, juvenile delinquency, depression and suicide, alcohol and drug abuse, bullying at school, future domestic violence, early intrusive sexual thoughts and activities. Hitting a child also places them at risk for chronic health problems later in life, such as obesity, heart disease, cancer, and even a shortened lifespan. Parents who hit their children increase their risk of drawing the attention of law enforcement and child protective services. Now, contrary to what many people believe, most injuries and child fatalities are not a result of parents who intentionally try to harm their children. They're the result of a frustrated parent who may rely on spanking as a disciplinary practice. Black children suffer the highest rates of child abuse and have the highest fatality rates. They are also overrepresented in the foster care system, tend to stay longer in the foster care system, and often don't receive adequate therapeutic services. And a growing number of Black children are being funneled from foster care into the juvenile justice system. So hitting children might actually be contributing to the very negative outcomes that parents and caretakers are trying to avoid. But you can make a change. The first step in creating a change is to make a commitment to that change. So this is why I decided to launch the No Hitting Challenge. This challenge involves parents and caretakers taking a quick and easy pledge. The first step is to visit and download the pledge certificate. You can print it out from your computer, read the pledge to your child, sign the pledge yourself, and have your child sign it. If you have multiple children, print out multiple certificates and sign it with each child. You can hang the pledge certificate on your refrigerator, on your child's bedroom wall, or any other place in the home as a reminder of your commitment to make your home a no-hitting zone. If you would like to record yourself taking the pledge with your child and you want to share your video with us, you can. You can find directions on how to do this via our website. This pledge will make your promise to your child official. For additional parenting tips and other support, you can visit www.sparethekids.com. We would love for you to join a growing number of parents who are taking this step. I thank you for helping to break the cycle of family violence and for honoring your children's humanity and your own.
All right. Listen, kids, settle down. I know. Settle down, y'all. Okay, just settle down, kids, and just let me. All right. Now y'all just need to just sit down somewhere. Just let me get up in this house. Let me get in the house before y'all all over me with this. All right? Y'all ain't asked me how my day was or nothing. Y'all just talking about I'm hungry. Sit down somewhere. All right? Sick of y'all doing this. Every time I get home, y'all like, Randolph, did you do what I asked you to do earlier today? Ain't none of y'all do what I asked you to do earlier today. The covers ain't even folded up. Toys ain't put up. I asked y'all to do that earlier. I don't care about no milk boy. I am not y'all personal refrigerator. Sick of y'all. Let me walk in and get myself settled, okay? Can we have some milk? No. The way y'all been acting, y'all ain't getting no milk. All right? I'm going to lay down and get myself together. Y'all on your own.
Say hi, Mommy. Say hi, Mom. Fuck your dad. Quer papá não? Você quer papá, bebê? Não dá papá pro bebê? Não?
Alunos do Distrito Federal voltaram.
Sometimes I just want to tell people how I feel, but I'm like, dang, they're going to use it against you. That's how we look at it, so we bottle everything up. But you're supposed to express yourself. I had to learn everything myself. That put me in a whole different state, like an emotional roller coaster. And I say that to say this. I did tell my mom, like, yo, Mom, like, Mom, please, man, come here and see me, Mom. Like, I need you, like in tears, right? And if you don't man up, I'm like, I ain't even telling you no more. It's good. That's all you need to tell me. Like, I can't even show you it hurt. So now I don't show nobody it hurt. I'll be wanting to. I'll be feeling bad sometime. I'll be like, all right, I ain't doing this. Yeah, all right, I'll holler at you later. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm so wrecked, and I feel like it shouldn't be that way. It should be you able to express yourself with your lady or your mom or your friend.
Look at me. I struggle with the same thing. If you do not know how to turn on the lion when the lion needs to come out, you will lose in here and in life. Right now, I'm asking you to let loose, let the lion come out. And it's scary because you don't want to bring it out. But if you don't ever bring it out, Brady, you'll never know how to control it when it comes out. That's why so many boys get in trouble, have temper tantrums, rage, right? So it's a process. I don't like the lion either. I don't like it, but he's needed now. Then the lamb can come out when the lamb is needed. Can you give me one more time? Pull, come on, turn, clench strong, clench your wrist, monkey grip, strong. Now take him down, now go. Come on, don't fall yourself. You are called to be as bold as a lion. Only is written that the wicked run when ain't nobody chasing.
Don't stop fighting and don't stop believing you can make the world better for your kids before you leave it. Change is slow, always has been, always will be. But fuck that, I'ma bust back till they kill me. Change is slow, always has been, always will be. But fuck that, I'ma bust back until they kill me. Feel me? Type of shit to make you. Alright, third verse. Type of shit to make you wanna let go. Type of shit to make you wanna, yeah. Type of shit to make you wanna. Here's a thought for my revolutionary heart. Take a deeper look at history. It's there to pick apart. See the people at the top, they get to do just what they want. Till after a while, the people at the bottom finally get smart. Then they start to holler revolution. Tired of living here in destitution. Fuck that looting. Can you tell me what's the best solution? I used to think it was to overthrow oppressors. See, if we destroy the system, that means we'll have less of greed. But see, it's not that simple. I got to thinking about the history of human nature while this instrumental played. Then I realized something that made me wonder if revolution was really ever the way. Before you trip and throw a fit over these words I say, think about this shit for a second. You heard the way the children in abusive households grow up knocking girlfriends out cold. That's called a cycle. Abuse becomes the abuser, and that's just how life goes. So understand, you get the power, but you know what power does to man. Corruption always leads us to the same shit again. So when you talk about revolution, dog, I hear just what you're saying. What good is taking over when we know what you gon' do? The only real revolution happens right inside of you. I said, what good is taking over when we know what you gon' do? The only real revolution happens right inside of you, nigga. Type of shit to make you wanna hide for hours, nigga. Type of shit to make you wanna let go. Volume 1. Type of shit to make you wanna. Type of shit to make you wanna let go.
What's up, world? So I just did a video in regards to the borderline society that we're living in, but I want to make another introduction to it. The video is a little raw. It does have cursing and profanity and vulgar language and things of that nature, because that's just, you know, the nature of the climate that we're living in now. It isn't a peaceful climate as some people would like to lead on or hint to. It's just a civil war. That's all it is. It's a civilized war, a psychological war, you know, of every day people trying to figure it out or trying to deal with the situation that they have while trying to hold on to the little bit of power that they have as well. So this reintroduction is just basically talking about oral narcissism, audible narcissism, as they all are traits of the borderline patient. The culture of narcissism led me to oral narcissism. And upon doing my research of oral narcissism, it led me to the book, The Point of Existence. This book speaks on the undifferentiated matrix, which is what's referred to as the child's interaction with the mother within the first few months of the child's existence. They cannot differentiate between what is themselves and what is outside themselves. So, in one way, you have a trauma bond, but in the other sense, you have the undifferentiated matrix where this child is totally dependent on its outside, references to equate what is exactly themselves. This is why it's a big thing once you've become awakened to know yourself. Know yourself. Know what is you and know what is not you. As a child, you're named, by your mother. This undifferentiated matrix has a name for itself. Your mother named you. So how important is it going to be for her to, instill positive names into your psyche moving forward, as opposed to the yelling, the chaos, the misuse, the abuse, the neglect. These are all things that knock a person off their core within their first few months. And this is a significant loss, as it's one that can almost never be corrected unless it's done swiftly. If those conditions linger, the conditions get worse, and it becomes harder to pinpoint because you start to cover up those issues with more materials, with more behaviors, and you start to lose sight of what was the real issue. But we know what the real issue is. It's a lack of care, a lack of concern, a lack of being one, being oneself, being whole. In that differentiated matrix, you also have mirror transference, which is also the same as, whatever you see will transfer, so to speak, into you. You will take that on as you. So what you see your mother doing, how you see your mother behaving, unless you go to granny house, or unless you go to daycare or school and see some different things, that's going to be you. You're going to start to mimic the things that you see around you, your mother, your father, other siblings, and that's when we start to see the mother question or discipline the child. Where did you learn that from? When did you start doing that? You don't do what you see me doing. And this is where we say, the child doesn't listen to what you say. They follow your example. So with that loss,
of one's core self, one's whole self, it starts a cycle to where you start to not only try to cover up those insecurities, those holes, those losses with grandiose images or objects of power, of omnipotence. So most of us, all of us here today, we didn't start a lot of the cycles that are in cycle today, in loop, in formation. We were born into them, and they just started to get stronger and stronger and worse and worse. So we would never know that the normal way of living is not normal. This is not normal for us. It's almost like you have to ask yourself, do you really feel comfortable with the way that you're behaving with other people? Do you really feel comfortable having children or parenting children in this society? Do you really feel comfortable? Because that's where it's getting at. I mean, your children are going to be adults. This whole society is pretty much a consumerism society. So what does that make out of you and me if assume makes asses out of you and me? What does consumerism make out of you and me? Cons, man. Cons, icons, Congress, Constitution. So, I mean, we could go on and on for days and days on many examples and things of that nature, but you have to really sit back and ask yourself, are you really happy? Do you really feel whole? Because after reading that, it made me understand what the Matrix, at least the original Matrix, was all about. When Neo, which if you look up the definition of a neonate, that's a baby. It's a newborn baby. So I'm not sure if the movie was modeled after this, but it's the Neo and then Trinity, when Neo was in that final fight scene where he died and came back, and she said, you can't die. You can't die because you are the one. And I've seen other terms regarding this, self-realization, self-actualization. But it's really, the undifferentiated matrix becoming one. And maybe Trinity, wasn't his mother, but Trinity was a partner, a girlfriend, a wife, whatever, who came and made him whole and made him believe in himself so much that it brought him back to life. It blew me away. It blew me away. And that's what we're getting at. Because so many people having babies, at one point, the child's first steps are celebrated. But what happens when that child what happens when that child becomes mobile and starts to explore, starts to ask questions, start to ask questions that you wanted to hide and neglect. Now you have to face them. So I hope you understand that the cycle that we're in was nobody has really taken the time to become whole in a lot of cases, to where if you're 90% or if you're 80% healthy and you go out and you have a baby or you kiss somebody else, you know, you're gonna somewhat infect them as well. And the cycle's gonna keep going. Or even if you go out there and do work on 80% and you hurt yourself, you never get better, you know? So you got the undifferentiated matrix, you got oral narcissism, you got mirror transference, all playing into the narcissism of a person because this person has been knocked off of their core at an early age and they've never recovered. They've never recovered. You can't recover with material things. You can't recover with a baby. You can't recover with lies and deceit and things of that nature. It has to be pure love. Pure love. That brings one together and holds one together and makes them believe that they can do anything in this world, not just be under your thumb, be under your guidance, be under your supervision, and you tell them what to do. You make them feel this way by saying, go do this, or you did that good, or you did that. No, that's not why you had a child. That's not what you're here for. But that's the control that people have to have when they're not whole, when they're not themselves. That's what a lot of us are living in. We're not happy, so we have a baby, we try to have a baby, or we get married thinking that that's going to make us happy. We get a car or a house. We try to have all these people around us, you know, and try to get up all this energy and support and all of that to try to drown out the things that we hear in our head, and or try to, you know, put on a show for the world to make them believe that things aren't what they really are inside our heads. So when you see somebody out, you might not even need to target this person, but if they seem to be in a lower position or in your way, then you're gonna, you know, try to kick them further down, and as you try to catapult yourself up, you know. But man, this can go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and I will continue to talk on it. I will continue to talk on the gang stalking, the targeted individuals, the oral narcissism. You know, I looked on YouTube and there were no videos on oral narcissism, so, you know, I figured that I would get in here and do it one day. And I wanted to introduce this next video with it because the situation in society is deep right now. I don't even think people really understand it or care to even look at it in a way to where to where they're trying to analyze it and stop it. Because I think a lot of people most people are just trying to get in and benefit from the way the system is now, as opposed to seeing it and seeing where we can improve, where we can do and be better. So I wanted it to be 10 minutes. It's been about 20 minutes, which will make the video about an hour. So I hope you all enjoy. Remember, oral narcissism, audible narcissism, mirror transference, the undifferentiated matrix, neonate, borderline personality disorder, all deal with narcissism, the culture of narcissism, the point of existence. These are books that really opened up my eyes to behaviors of people, and I see their motives, I see their energy, I see their aura before you even pull up, you know, but it doesn't change mine. It doesn't change mine. I may look at you, you know, I may look at you not differently, but, you know, more cautiously. And, you know, and I will get on guard. I will be doing my thing, you know. I would like to be cool and lax with people, but you can't let your guard down, because as soon as you do, somebody trying to stab you in it. Somebody's trying to stab you in your weak spot. But excuse those noises. It's my work phone going off. I'll holla at y'all, man. In the meantime, to those that, you know, to those that are pure, innocent, not out here trying to hurt people, keep your energy right. Ask yourself the right questions. When something don't feel right, it's not right. You paid a lot of money to your intuition. Don't second guess it. Don't second guess it. Guard yourself, protect yourself. Get around some good energy. And keep grinding, man. Keep grinding. Keep grinding on you. Keep grinding on being a better you. What makes you, you know. A lot of people won't understand it, and don't try to make them understand. Because they know. They know. People know what's up. It doesn't take much today. But you know how cops do. You know how cops do. They try to butter you up and question you and try to, you know, get certain things out of you by trying to be your friend and certain things like that. And that's what you have today in a borderline society. People aren't, you know, information is the number one thing now. Data. They can get it from you for free. That's what they're going to do. So head on a swivel, man, and watch your surroundings. Watch the people, even the people that look like you. The people that look closest like you. Everything. Trust nobody.
Cause I ain't never tell us how to handle our emotions, man. They said if we let it get to us, then we just wasn't focused, man. They said boys don't cry, nigga, men ain't boys, keep it all in, man. And it's hard to stand with that kind of way, we keep falling, man. We keep falling. And how we supposed to stand up? How we supposed to lift the fam up? How we supposed to join and band up? When all they ever said was man up, nigga. They look us in the eyes, seeing all that pain inside, and tell us we ain't supposed to cry, no. We ain't supposed to cry. And then they ask us how we feel and expect us to keep it real, but we lie, all our lies. They told us boys don't cry, so now we riding. We riding. We riding. Boys don't cry. Now we riding. We riding. We riding. Boys don't cry.
So we'll just add a little two more cents to this video. So oral narcissism, the undifferentiated matrix, mirror transference, self-realization. I think the most looked over fact about the Matrix movie or the Matrix concept is that it spoke about the internet. Well, I didn't realize that it was about the internet, but you know, on the internet, you pretty much anything you want to be. So that's the residual self-image that he turned into when he was in the Matrix. You know, the glasses, the all black. And that book came out in '96. So I've never seen or heard any correlation between the two, anybody making a connection between the two either. But this is really why we're where we at today. I mean, think about the logic behind religion and movies like Roots, where it was literally beat into the slaves. It was literally beat into people to have them accepted. The way they treated children, the way they look down on children, is the same thing that's going on right now. The same thing that's going on today. Kids are in so much trouble. And that translates to our future being in trouble. You literally have kids dying. You have kids being tortured because of the vindictiveness of the parents, of relationships not working out, or because of the way that they grew up, they feel like it's okay to turn around and do this to their child. You know, when you were a kid, your mother beat you, or they told you that you could do whatever you wanted to do when you grew up. But that's not the case. So a lot of us, and I just say we, so nobody thinks that I'm speaking above them or that I don't have my situations and my mistakes that I make, my bad choices, my bad decisions, based off the way that I was brought up as well. It really says a lot when you read those definitions. When you read, oral narcissism. When you realize how foundation works. If you build a building on a lopsided foundation, the building might last, but everybody might be leaning to one side or the other. Do you want your house on a lopsided foundation? When it's time to cook sunny side eggs up, do you have to prop the pan up? Just little metaphors and similes to help you understand that foundation is important. Like I probably said this in videos before, but the first book that I read while I was in jail was Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And it's a well-known fact that how you were raised is very important to your success or your accomplishment. Having the space to be creative, the space to ask your questions. A lot of us, as children, we wanted to ask questions, we wanted to explore, and we questioned things that didn't seem right, and we were told, not to worry about it, to mind our own business, to stay in a child's place. You had that with your parents, the parents, in fact, had that with their parents, or they have it with the government themselves, and that just trickles down. And people grow up, they never forget those things. Children, if you don't heal, if you don't, even counseling and years of therapy, people never recover from being abused as children. And you're forced to be out here and, act like you're normal, fake it like you're normal, fake it till you make it. And it's just playing out in society right now. We have reached a literal state of psychosis, and it's okay. It was okay, or it is more acceptable for you to discipline your child, and you literally have people vying for the fact to hit a child. To hit a child when you can't solve your situations with anybody. Not a man can't solve his situation with another man, or a man can't solve his situation with another woman physically. But you're instilling or you're teaching this child to handle their situations that way, or you're just gonna beat them to the point where they shrink and allow other people to do that same thing to them. You're not teaching them life skills to grow up and be productive. You're literally sending them down that one way to jail, death, depression, hypersensitivity or numbness to and numbness and desensitization to pain, other people's pain, abuse. Some people grow up and be empathetic, but for the most part, this is what we're seeing today. I mean, it's unfortunate, but hopefully with this video and other videos like this, we can become a true village again, to where everybody is monitoring what's going on in the village. If we are truly in a village and, your kid is playing with another kid who's being abused at home, and you see the effects of it, the physical effects, the emotional effects, they trust you, maybe they talk to you, or the kids say something to you, you can do something about it. But look at all these kids, we isolated. Look at all these kids coming up missing, man. These kids being abused. These kids being killed. And some of them are even better off dead, because nobody is going to understand your abuse or empathize with your abuse when you become a grown man or adult. They just expect you to be healed. They expect you to be able to be out here and function in society, despite what you went through as a child. Now, everybody went through something as a child, right? And now we just grow up and we take it out on each other. Women, they're vindictive. However they were raised, either they were raised to be spoiled, and now they're vindictive because they're not spoiled anymore, or they were neglected and abused, and now they feel like that's how they treat other people. And some men are the same way, but their abuse is probably going to be more physical. But nowadays, it's like more men are becoming more emotional and sensitive, and the women are more aggressive. And it's all coming down from the top, to where they have everybody else doing their dirty work. They're turning the men against the women. They're having the fathers removed from the home, and that creates even more stress for a woman, because she never intended to be alone and raise multiple children on her own and things of that nature. That's why they take it out on the children. So, I'll just make this video because I want us to focus on healing. It's just like The Walking Dead. If you get bit without being healed, you're gonna contaminate somebody else. And then you just got a whole bunch of zombies walking around thinking they normal, thinking what they're doing is okay to do to the next person because it was done to them. How you cope becomes your lifestyle. So either you take it out on other people or you take it out on yourself. And it's just sad, man. It's sad. But the kids are the ones who are the most in trouble right now. And you know, the adults are tasked with healing ourselves. You know, it's not wanting to wallow and operate in constant dysfunction and think it's okay. You know, acting a fool on social media, you know, exposing and exploiting your children on social media for what? For likes and to just for grandiose to say that I did this, I'm tough, boo boo boo. But you're not gonna handle that same situation, or you're not gonna handle another person that way. So really, you know, I would say it's weak, but that was the cycle. That was how it was implemented. And now the foundation is leaning. America was built on a garbage foundation to where there are people who know it and they exploit it because that's the only way that they're going to be, you know, comfortable or live a life to where they don't have to struggle. And everybody else is just going to be in the struggle of healing or not healing and hurting the next person and hurting the next person, hurting the next person. While all the healthy, supposedly healthy people are in their gated communities and you know, doing things of that nature. So we got to get it together, man. I'll be speaking more on this, but this is just a short introduction into it because like I said, nobody has made a video on this. Nobody has made a video on oral narcissism. Audible narcissism. Wow. You know, I could get egotistical about it, but look where we at in society. So please, for tomorrow's sake, for your children's sake, heal yourself and heal them. Treat them with dignity. Give them skills to go out here and operate. Yes, stand up for yourself. Don't get bullied. You know, but also at the same time, hopefully the next person is you know, being taught the same thing. So when they meet, it's not an issue. There's no animosity. It's no, I have to establish dominance over you in order to feel like I'm surviving. Instead of us just coexisting. That's all, man. Peace.